Hotep, peace. My name is Rob Hotep. Doing this video on the interterrestrial beings. Now, many of you have heard of the extraterrestrial beings. Many people have heard of them. But what about these interterrestrial beings, ITs? That's what we call them, ITs. Not ETs, but ITs. You may be thinking to yourself, what is this guy talking about now? Oh man, if only you guys knew what's really going on out here. If only you guys knew how the world really works. If you just really just took a little bit of scientific, it took a little bit of time to study scientific information, you would definitely come out enlightened as to what's really going on in this world. If you would just, not going to even tell you to close your religious books, but if you would just look into your religious texts and books and really research every word in these books to see exactly what's going on in these books, it would give you a wealth of information. If you would just get you a Bible that has the Greek and the Hebrew right next to the English, get you one of those Bibles called a Greek and Hebrew Bible, a Greek and Hebrew study Bible. The Old Testament was revealed in Hebrew, the New Testament was revealed in Greek. Get you a Greek and Hebrew study Bible and compare the English to the Greek and compare the English to the Hebrew. And if you were to do that, I mean, you would just really wake up to what's really going on here with this control grid. You wouldn't just get caught up on these banner terms like God, devil, hell, heaven. You know what I'm saying? You hear these terms, but then you don't know what they're saying in the Hebrew. See, you have to get into the mind of the author or the seer that wrote down the information so that you can enter and understand exactly what the author or the seer was trying to tell to you. And the author and the seer of these scriptures did not speak English. And I know I'm supposed to be talking about interterrestrial beings, but this is so important before I can even get into this. Because they spoke Hebrew, or they spoke Greek, or they spoke cuneiform, or didn't speak cuneiform, but they spoke Sumerian, which is the written version is called cuneiform. So they spoke these languages that are really old, you know what I'm saying, and we speak English, so we've lost the meanings of these words. So when we hear the term heaven, we think, you know, of a place that has roads of gold and pearly gates and all of your families there waiting for you, and you know there's a guy sitting on a throne. He's physical, keep in mind, sitting on a throne. And then you think about hell, you think about this physical being with a pitchfork and people burning up in hellfire. You don't never take the time to research hell and exactly what it really means, and what term do they use for hell in the Hebrew, what term do they use for hell in the Greek, what term do they use for heaven in the Hebrew, what term do they use for heaven in the Greek, what term do they use for God. There's probably over 1,000 different terms in the Bible if you go to the original languages for God alone. I mean, many languages that you translated as it's just one person, but there's many terms. But I know I'm supposed to be talking about interterrestrial beings, but it all goes hand in hand. So the extraterrestrial beings are beings that don't originate within, not really originate, but beings that come from space here into Earth. These are called extraterrestrial beings. Extra meaning outside, and then terrestrial meaning Earth. So when you say extraterrestrial, you're talking about entities that are not from or indigenous to this planet. They're not from this planet. Now you have what's called interterrestrial beings, and this is the interesting part. Most of these beings that humanity are encountering right now, your crafts that you're seeing and things of this nature, these are mostly interterrestrial beings that you're encountering right now. These are interterrestrial beings, and they exist inside of the Earth. Inside of the Earth. Now, you heard me talk about dimensions a lot. I'm going to help you to understand dimensions as far as the Earth is concerned. Now, the Earth actually has up to, it may even be higher than this, but I know for a fact the Earth goes up to like 5th dimension. The Earth goes up to like 5th dimension. But I'll break it down like this. It actually goes higher than that. It does. It goes higher than fifth dimension. But I'll break it down to help you to understand like this. The Earth, you've heard of the hollow Earth theory. The Earth is like an onion. You know, in the onion, you peel one layer back, and then there's another. Onion gets smaller, smaller, smaller. You peel one layer back, there's another layer. You peel another layer back, there's another layer. And eventually, it gets really small. Well, the Earth is just like an onion. It exists the same way. So, what happens is that you have beings that are capable. They're called sky gods that can exist in the atmosphere of the Earth. You can't see them, but if you know how to access them through tonation, and you knew how to do certain things in meditation, you will be able to start seeing them. If you will open your third eye, you will be able to start seeing them. But there are beings that exist in the sky, in the air, and there are beings that exist, of course, on the surface dwellers like us. We're surface dwellers. Then you have beings. See, the Earth is called the hollow Earth theory. So if you peel back a layer, there's basically up under this layer. I think it's like I believe it's like 500 miles deep. If you go like 500 miles deep, there's another existence up under this layer, and there's groups of beings living in that existence. And this is where your Mayans, the Atlanteans, your people of Mu, and all of these different beings that were a part of those civilizations, when they were on the surface, they figured out a way to take their civilization underground, which means to the next layer. See, they found out that the Earth sits like this, but then like the surface of the Earth can shift. The surface of the Earth can shift. Like, it's called the pole shift. Many of you have heard the pole shift. And that's what's going to happen. I'm going to do a shift video really soon, but that's what's going to happen during the shift or whatever. The surface of the Earth is it can shift. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like a merry-go-round or something. It can move around like that. And it's based on the polar ice caps melting or whatever. So when the polar ice caps, the ice caps hold the Earth, the surface of the Earth in place. So this is very much not a stable ground that we're on, because when the polar ice caps melt, which they're melting, they're going to melt, and then the Earth could be able to just free-for-all. It could just shift. It could go wherever. And right now, the North Pole, scientists can back me up on this, the North Pole is already shifting from the Polaris star, lining up with the Polaris star, all the way to the Draconian star, the Draco star. So what happens is that the North Pole is going from Siberia to the North Pole, where the North Pole is now. So it's like shifting from Siberia, which is in parts of Russia, to where the North Pole is now. So the Earth can shift. And the thing is that there are beings that can live up under the shift part of the surface. See, we live on the surface, but there are beings that live in different pockets of the Earth, and it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And the deeper you go, the beings change. So you have beings that live on the right up under us that are called interterrestrial beings, and they build crafts. And you see these crafts that many people are seeing. They're aerodynamic, meaning that they're cut a certain kind of way. They're aerodynamic crafts. They're cut a certain kind of way, which means that they're built for the Earth. See, these crafts that you're seeing, they're not coming from outer space, because if they're coming from outer space, there's no air outer space. There's no atmosphere outer space. The atmosphere exists here. So these crafts are built for this atmosphere, which proves that these beings that are building these crafts are right here on this planet. The people that are seeing these crafts are seeing these crafts from beings that exist right here on this planet. So what's going on is this, is that they're building these crafts in the center of the Earth, and a lot of times when you see them, they're actually either coming out of the center of the Earth, that's why you see them shoot out, and they may be going somewhere or whatever, wherever they're going, or they're coming back and they're going into the center of the Earth. When you deal with your Native American tribes and you get to talking to your Native American tribes out in like Arizona and New Mexico and all these different places out there where Roswell is, that's why you see them out there more, because they have places to go into the center of the Earth out there in the West. They don't really too much fool with the East, because most of the people, the population here in America, I'm talking about America now, are on the East Coast. So when they come in through the West Coast, because it's not as many, it's not as populous, and they just fly straight in. And the military knows about this. The military already knows about this information that I'm teaching. And they fly straight into your caverns or into your caves, and they go to the center of the Earth. And these beings are called Tyros. There's a group of beings called the Tyros, or the cone-headed beings. You've seen them on your sci-fi movies. And I know you're like, wow, this is just not true. You're right. But I don't really care. Like I said, it's about giving out that information, because many people that are intuitive know what I'm talking about. So, they take this very serious. And shout out to all my people out there that listen to these videos that are taking it serious. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm from Sirius, and I take this serious. You know what I'm saying? I know my existence originates from Sirius. So, Then you have beings like the Deros. You have beings that are like 300 pounds. They're the Deros, these big beings or whatever. You have the cone head beings. These are interterrestrial beings, beings that live under the earth. Now, if you go deeper, you have lava beings or plasma beings. You have even in the center, in the core of the earth, there's a sun in the core of our earth. It's a sun that exists in the core of our earth. And this is in the very center. And there are beings that live around that sun. They built land around that sun. And these beings are called the Dinacal beings. These are melanated beings like me, the Dinacal beings. Now some like the Teros and the Deros beings, they exist. They're a different complexion. Some of them are pale, things like that. But the Dinacal are the darker beings that, basically look like somebody like me or whatever. So these are the melanated beings, and these beings that exist there, and there's some beings that are invisible. These are your plasma beings that pretty much can take on a body and look the way you want them to look. They can look however you want them to look, meaning that whatever your imagination can conceive, they can take on that form, because these beings have evolved past having bodies. These beings are what we would call total beings, or consciousness. See, consciousness is a state of being. So when I say being, I want people to understand what I mean by that. Your consciousness is a state of being, meaning that when you get past the body, when you get past the mind, you go into what's called being, like to just be. And there are beings that live in that state perpetually. That's their state all the time. They don't have a body. They've evolved past the body. They live and they just be. They just are. So, but when they want to manifest to humans and contact humans, they'll come the way you want them to look. And there's different classes of these interterrestrial beings, just to give you an introduction to them. Now I'm going to cover the Galactic Confederation, but what happened was that Earth is up under a quarantine. Now you have reptilians too that live on the center of the Earth, and you have what's called Bigfoots, or what they call Shaggies, some people call them Shaggies, that live in the Earth as well. You have many different beings. There's 24 different beings, even according to Cradle Mutwa, there's 24 different beings that exist on this planet. I'm not talking about extraterrestrial beings, I'm talking about interterrestrial beings. 24 different beings that exist on this planet, counting human beings, I believe. So, like I said, these beings can communicate through telepathy and things of that nature. And it's just really deep, man. It's just really deep. Now, what happened was with the Galactic Confederation, let me cover that, then I'll close this video out. The Galactic Confederation, or the Galactic Federation, put a quarantine on planet Earth. And this is based on planet Earth being what they call disagreeable. Being disagreeable and not friendly and not, agreeable. It's a disagreeable planet, and this is because the reptilians control the Earth. And it's a quarantine on this planet. And the only way the quarantine is going to get lifted, and I'm going to cover this more in my video about the Galactic Confederation, is if enough humans decide that they want to break free from reptilian control. You see, we have these people out here that talk this stuff about, they want to be good people and things of this nature, they're Christians and things of this nature, but at the end of the day, they're still letting these disagreeable beings control them. The reptilians, they're still feeding into the propaganda, watching these televisions, eating their food, reading their scriptures, going to their churches. This is all a control grid that's set up. And you submit to going to their universities, thinking you're getting an education, but really you're getting programmed. And this is all a part of the reptilian game to control you. And the thing is that the real Most High, or the real God that's really out there that really cares about you, they put a quarantine on this planet because it's so disagreeable. And they're not going to come back unless enough humans decide that they want to break free from the control of reptilians. And then there are certain things that you're going to have to do to break free. The first thing you're going to have to do is to open your third eye. The number one thing, you got to get an open third eye, because even the reptilians have an open third eye. Everybody, as far as other beings, are already looking into fourth dimension. When you have an open third eye, what this does is that it allows you to see into the fourth dimension. So that's the first thing you got to do to break free from the control of these reptilians and these disagreeable Luciferians and Satanists that I talked about in other videos that are controlling you, is to open your third eye. So, it's deep, it's a lot of information, but this is basically to give you a gist of what the interterrestrial beings are. They, some of them set themselves up as gods and appear and act like they are gods or whatever, but really they're just beings that live in the center of the earth, that want to they want to get what they can get from humans and go back to their abode, the center of the earth, and keep control. And as long as this game keeps going, this will keep going for them. So as long as they control humans, the game keeps going for them. Like you call it the New World Order, I look at it more as an alien agenda. So I hope this helps. For more enlightening information, please visit my website, 13signsastrology.com. Peace.